This video is going to be a little bit different than perhaps the way that the other reviewers are handling Street Fighter 6. I want to approach this as a casual fan, as a person that's not trying to compete in big tournaments or pull off 1 million hit combos. I just want to try and ask and answer the question, is Street Fighter 6 fun? If you're somebody that grew up playing these games and just wants to be able to beat up your friends or try out the new RPG mode, is this going to be a blast? Honestly, heck yeah. Street Fighter 6 is a big package with a lot to swallow. But let's talk about that. What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here. Hi, hope you're having a great day. If you could like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. Now, this game is actually just split into 3 big parts. There's the Battle Hub, which is the new style of online matches. There's World Tour, which is where you get to create a big custom character and go on a globe-spanning adventure that actually takes you to different dojos, training with the masters that built Street Fighter. And then, of course, there's Fighting Ground, which is essentially like your classic Street Fighter. It's you and another person face-to-face trying to reduce your enemy's health bar down to 0. Now, I want to begin by discussing the Fighting Grounds because this is, in my opinion, the most important aspect of Street Fighter 6. How fun is it to just beat somebody up in the streets, preferably? This game is incredibly well balanced. So far, there is 18 characters in the game at launch, with a lot of these being classic heroes returning. Obviously, you're going to get people like, Chun-Li and Ryu and Ken and, all the people we love most like Cammy, but there is additionally 6 new fighters that are kind of fun. They're really different in their tone. People like Manon, Marissa, JP. There's like a drunken master dude. There's this person that uses like big boomerangs who can like throw air at you. I like the fact that, honestly, this game feels incredibly approachable. While you're on that character select screen, it will tell you how difficult somebody is to learn, how hard a lot of their special moves are. You can actually look straight at their combos to see kind of an idea of how intricate their moves are, or you can even just see whether they are more of a long range, a mid range, a grappler. It's cool that this game definitely feels like it's not afraid to front load information. It's not afraid to tell you exactly what you're about to get into to sort of encourage you to, if you're comfortable with one character, maybe try somebody else out. Now, when you really get into these matches, I have to say the speed and the chunkiness of this is so freaking satisfying. I think my favorite character is usually Ryu in these games. I am in love with Ken. His kick combos, and specifically his special, feel brilliant. But we need to discuss perhaps the most controversial aspect of Street Fighter 6, the part that people are sort of debating, which is modern controls versus classic controls. Definitely the biggest problem when it comes to fighting games as a community is, how do you entice new players? I mean, if you try to go online with a game like Tekken or something, people are going to be juggling you in the air from 100 to 0. So a lot of game developers have been trying to find a way to make games easier to learn and easier to sort of at least approach. That's what modern controls versus classic controls are. So when you're actually playing with the classic controls, it's the old school style you know best. High punch, low punch, high kick, low kick, medium kick. Now, doing the combos with classic controls, it takes an incredible amount of practice. Finesse, a lot of time just spent sitting in practice mode, staring at a just attack dummy, trying to just hit every single thing till you can figure out that frame perfect timing. Now, I think that's fun. I actually do enjoy trying to master, a character or two, figuring out what exactly makes them a little bit more ruthless than their opponents. But it's definitely not for everybody. And some people are very, very difficult. I spent about 3 hours just practicing combos with Guile, and I still suck. I mean, classic controls are indeed very classic, whereas modern controls, this is basically just 4 main buttons. You have a projectile button, a fast attack, a medium attack, and a low attack. Now, by pressing these, it makes it where you can actually do one button combos. You can just tap like medium attack over and over and over again, and it will chain together a proper amount of high kicks, low kicks, medium kicks to sort of do what you're trying to do. You can also just hold R2. It is the auto combo button. Yep, that's real. That means you can just hold the trigger and tap like X or square or triangle and chain together a pretty beefy amount of attacks. Now, the game doesn't play itself, but it definitely is a big assist tool. Now, you may be asking what's the point of modern controls if you're not really doing the combos yourself. It does seem like this teaches you the speed, the pacing, and the timing of hits pretty well. It does sort of make it so that you get a better idea of not just how to fight and how to dodge and how to block, but it does kind of educate you on the very, very basics. It does feel a bit strange, though, at times. If I could make a sloppy analogy here, it feels a little bit like when you go to the gym and there's that machine called assisted pull-ups. It makes it where you're technically doing a pull-up, and it does build some muscle, but it never quite gives you enough strength to just go over and start doing normal pull-ups on your own. That's how classic controls feel. It does feel like there is a big gap between modern controls and classic controls, but this is at least a good introductory fashion. With that being said, I still find it impressive that they're even trying to make so many tools to kind of teach people how to love Street Fighter. In general, I think that the fighting grounds are incredibly fun. The arcade mode they have there, the one-on-one battles, there's like these team battle things where you and the other person both choose 2 fighters each instead of 1, and you have to beat both of your opponents in order to win. It's cool that this is a nice introduction to Street Fighter. But I want to also talk about the Battle Hub and World Tour, with definitely World Tour being the most different and, in my opinion, most impressive addition. The Battle Hub is a place where you get to go to like a digital arcade and face other people. It's kind of cool, actually. Now, online play has amazing rollback netcode. Playing this game online, so far from every bit I've experienced, I've fought some other reviewers, and I also went to the online beta to test this out under heavy load. It's perfect. Now, I do have very, very fast internet. I'm sure that helps somewhat, but even playing this on Wi-Fi, it is a very, very fluid experience. I was pulling off combos. I was flawlessing people. I mean, obviously, it's kind of unfair, but I have practiced this game for about 2 weeks before I played it online. So a lot of the people in the beta, obviously, they can't really step up to my level of practice, but it was cool to actually test how good that netcode is. No lag, no delay to my inputs. Everything works incredibly good. And it also felt good to just sort of check out this digital arcade and see people wandering around, talking to each other, actually sharing tips, or even just talking about the changes in Street Fighter 6. It's funny to see 2 characters sitting at an arcade cabinet whose names are like XX Bong Rippa going against somebody named Bongus Smokus. You know, I don't know if those guys are best friends, but props to them for finding each other in this arcade world. Now, let's try and dig into World Tour. When I was watching the trailers for Street Fighter 6, I was most curious about this because I wasn't sure exactly what it's going to be. So we make our own custom fighter, and during the course of this, we travel across the globe, essentially training under different masters. The motto of World Tour mode is, "What is strength?" And that's part of something that's definitely at the forefront of this. Now, there is a story, but it's so freaking cheesy. It's basically a bunch of, like, kids trying to figure out how to be kung fu masters. And so they go and track down different people like Chun-Li, who's defending Chinatown, or Luke, who runs, like, his own gym. And you listen to their tutelage to learn bit by bit their special attacks, their moves. But your character can also make their own styling. You can actually, as you level up, there is an experience point system. You go around the streets and you can just challenge pretty much anybody to a fight. Characters you're facing in the streets have their own levels, so they give you more experience points and stuff like that. So while you're trying to do this, you actually get a chance to master and equip different skills. So I can get Chun-Li's special kick, and I really liked playing with Luke's hand-to-hand combat explosion combos. It's cool that you get to play in this really silly world and build yourself out. But additionally, there's a lot of weird fights, like multi-enemy battles, where instead of going against, like, if you're level 12, instead of facing another level 12, you go against like 4 level 8s, but at the same time, like they're in the battle arena at the same time. Now, they're not as aggressive, so it's not like they're just chain comboing you into the dirt, but it's cool that the whole battle mode thing, this whole like world tour, I like that it is so different. Actually getting experience points, going into a skill tree to change whether you want to specialize more in grab moves or throws or combos. It's cool that you get a chance to, not to a heavy degree, but you do get a chance to customize your characters like stats and stuff. And you get a chance to equip gear. Now, some of this is just cosmetic, but there are clothes that give you extra defense or extra attack or extra grapple. I think this game tour mode is actually just, it's goofy and it's different enough that I'm thankful it's in here. I especially loved a lot of the very funny side quests where you're trying to break boards or challenge people with purple haircuts to fights. Like, in general, World Tour feels like a very long tutorial. It teaches you a lot about the idea of punches and counters, and you can actually experiment in World Tour whether you want to practice more with classic controls or modern controls. After beating World Tour mode, I'm actually probably most impressed by this. It's not the most fun thing. I definitely like Fighting Ground and online matches more, but World Tour is a very smart introduction to the very big world of Street Fighter. It also establishes a lot of funny lore and stuff. It's cool to just see these characters interact and talk in a way that's not just like a 5-sentence opening to a fight. The World Tour mode was really delightful just because it was something that felt so different and yet so at home in the Street Fighter mythos. This game, just across the board, Street Fighter 6 is big. This is a game that is definitely worth the price tag. I mean, I can't even really think of any criticisms. There is apparently going to be some sort of microtransactions where you get to buy skins and stuff. Unfortunately, during this review period, there isn't any way to access the online store. So they did tell me there's going to be like multiple currencies, something called fighting passes, fighter coins, drive tickets, but I don't exactly know what those are. I think they're just going to buy like cosmetic skins, and later on, I think you earn them and it'll let you buy DLC characters instead of buying them maybe. As it stands, I think this game is definitely a very, very good time, but let's go over to the ratings board and put a big number on it. I am giving Street Fighter 6 a 10 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching this, gamers, and please, if you could, give this video a gigantic like. Look, I'll make you guys a deal. If this video somehow gets 6,000 likes in honor of Street Fighter 6, I'll give away a copy of the game over on my Twitter account. So keep an eye open for that. Thank you guys for watching all the way to the very, very end. All right, I'm going to go back online. If you see me online, I'm probably going to beat your butts for at least a couple weeks as you all practice up as much as I have. But if I get dumpstered by any fans and subscribers, well, you just outplayed me. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.